So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. This is a signal generator, and turn it on to 28. Okay. There we go. So what we have here is 180 degrees phasing, 6 volts going into the amplifier, then the amplifier storing out 26 volts right there at 61 milliamps, and on the return we have 441 milliamps feeding through this fluorescent tube at 378 volts. So this is the proven over unity.
What we have is the grand unified field theory. With it you can create inexhaustible free energy, end all diseases, produce unlimited food, travel anywhere in the universe, build the ultimate supercomputer, artificial intelligence, and obsolete all existing technology. How is it possible to make such outrageous claims? Because we have the secret that connects all of the world's technologies together: numbers. We discovered that numbers are real, a living language, a jigsaw puzzle that when pieced together no longer creates a rendition or approximation of reality. Numbers are reality, neither flat nor arbitrary nor imaginary nor irrational. They are actually points or locations that fold out into a 3D shape defining space and time literally. Mr. Roden discovered an equation that was so eloquent in its simplicity that it involved no more than 9 numbers around a circle. And with it you can do all the functions of all the branches of math instantly. It displays a perfect spin symmetry of numbers forming mirror images just like our 2 hands, a feat that's baffled countless scientists and mathematicians. When you look at this symbol, you immediately see it's composed of 2 aspects. One is this lazy 8, or the infinity symbol, and the other is the red pyramid at the top. The infinity symbol is the equation for the physical world we live in. It's a circuit or a pathway of motion. 6 numbers that form a hexagon. Thus, such diverse phenomena as light polarizing, beehives, Saturn's North Pole, and snowflakes are all versions of this hexagon. These shapes form pathways for any matter in motion, which is never straight, but always at an angle. Nothing in the physical world ever moves in a straight line, not a bullet shooting, not lightning coming down out of the sky. Everything is a quarter.
Mathematicians call this pattern the torus. The energy in a torus flows in through one end, circulates around the center, and exits out the other side. It's balanced, self-regulating, and always whole. I began to wake up when I was in elementary school. Adults were teaching me that the way to protect myself from a nuclear explosion was to duck under my desk and cover my head. That's when my serious questioning began. A couple of years later, I had a direct experience of universal energy. It happened one day when I was riding on a school bus, gazing out the window. I had a vision of a whirlpool pattern, and I just knew that the flow of energy I was seeing was the same in an atom as in our entire solar system. I felt deeply that I, too, was somehow made of that same pattern. This vision was what originally got me into science, into trying to figure out how the universe works and how we humans fit into the overall pattern of life energy. Years later, I learned that the pattern I saw is known by some in the scientific world. It turns out that in 1921, Albert Einstein got a Nobel Prize for discovering that when energy is released in the universe, there are little packets of wholeness that emerge. This pattern actually tells us a lot about how life evolves.
Then that would all work as one unit. And so that's what the first verse of Genesis draws. It draws a kind of donut called the two-torus. Two-dimensional surface on a torus. Is because I realized this was on the surface of a donut, which one could pull through. And I didn't want these lines to cross over in funny ways, so I simply rotated it through itself. But if it were on the surface of a donut, then that would all work as one unit.
Are you having fun? There's the dandelion puff principle, how the universe reprocesses itself, because I'm saying it's an ecological system. It comes out the nozzle, the jet, which is right through here, nature's hourglass, and decompresses, okay, and these are toroidal field coils, and decompresses and purifies it, and it comes out again, all over again. There you go. There's your tornado, there's your vortex. It's compressing, going through the singularity where the energy shoots out from, and going out the white hole, and it'll come back and go again in a closed loop cycle that's ecological. And that's how the coil is made. But it's not made like this. It's made almost straight lines around the invisible 9 that it's spinning around the vortex. I'll show you how to do it real fast.
You just throw water before you drink it.
Yeah, no, a lot of people sell machines that do that. So there's...
Now you'll probably notice, particularly if you know something of Jewish tradition and teaching, that this looks a little like a flame. And letters are said to come from a flame or from fire. They were written in fire on the original tablets given to Moshe.
So we've now identified the first verse of Genesis. It folds itself up into a donut. This is the bagel theory of reality. You just peel the 7-color map off of the donut, and you have a little vortex. This is the definition of the donut. You don't need the rest of the donut. Mathematicians don't need the dough. They just want to know what the surface is, you know, how it all fits together. They don't.
And what we found, and this is really quite startling, is when we simplified it mathematically, we ended up producing a form that looked just like this. This is the form we actually made. This is a minimal geometric way to represent the way the first verse of Genesis forms itself when its letters are paired up. And so we have our fruit tree yielding fruit whose seed is in itself. And when we look at it from the appropriate directions, for instance, that direction, let me hold it here, it might be easier, we see the Hebrew letter bait. The English equivalent would be the letter B, the Greek would be beta.
This object, this entirely asymmetrical object, which in the past we've identified as a flame of consciousness. Hebrew letters are said to come from flame. Arabic letters are said to come from flame. Shadows of this object are all of these Hebrew letters. Same one object generates all of these letters of the alphabet. Text written in an alphabet that curls itself up into a form that casts shadows that are the letters that the text is written in. Fruit tree yielding fruit whose seed is in itself. That is very self-embedded. That is very self-referential. That's a very reflexive process. It's creating its own letters in which it's written.
Look at, and we can see these self-organizing forms throughout. We can see it in the cross-section of an orange, the cross-section of an apple. We can see it in the dynamic nature of a tornado.
So it'll always follow this treadmill. And like the squirrel running in the, or the hamster running in the hamster cage, it keeps on moving, but it doesn't go anywhere. It stays on its axis. So infinity I refer to as a bounded infinity. And if you follow it, it's always coming in at the top, out at the bottom, back around, in at the top, out at the bottom. It's modeling compression, decompression. This is a vortex. You're going to be hearing about it forever.
Considering the enduring wonders of creation throughout the universe, and how unsustainable so many of our human systems are, I figured learning how the universe creates and sustains life would actually be quite useful. Each of these little packets of wholeness that Einstein discovered, called a quantum, is made out of its surroundings, but is distinct within it, like a whirlpool in water. These packets are always the same pattern, no matter what size, and they are surprisingly relevant to issues as seemingly disconnected as the wars in the Middle East, the global financial collapse, and how to achieve justice for everyone. We're about to explore how.
If we examine the descriptions of the Sufi poet Rumi, where he describes the Medlevi Sufi round dance, this is the cypress tree in the middle of the garden, and this is the round dance. And if you read the description carefully, you'll see it fits this form, a dynamic motion in the body.
So what I'm saying is infinity is not infinite. It's an infinity of a spin continuum, not infinity of direction.
And it's no coincidence that it matches our equation perfectly. It makes us into a vortex machine, sucks things in at the top and shoots them out at the bottom. As it does this, it regulates its own temperature, a really important concept for technologies that are always overheating.